What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another late night in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox, your brewmaster in chief. And tonight in the BrewLab, I'm going to do what I have been doing for the last couple of sets now, and that is to go through each color and each rarity from the set that is about to hit the client, Duskmorn, the Haunted House, and I will give you my top pick for each color, for each rarity. And following the Wooburg acronym, we're going to be, of course, starting with the color white. So, found it quite tough to do for the mythics in general over the entirety of the set. I found that to be the other way around in Bloomburrow. I don't know what that says about the set, but obviously there's less mythics, right, and rares than there are commons and uncommons. So you would think that when there's more of something, it's tougher to choose the best one of the lot. But when there's less, then, you know, there's only 3 mythics, let's say, in white, which is the case, then obviously it should be easier to pick one that just immediately stands out as the best one. But particularly in white, which I feel is the color that got the most shafted in the set. Just really kind of like whatever, not so amazing. Maybe more for limited or other formats. But as far as standard best of one, which is my bread and butter, I found the white mythics to be a little bit lackluster. The obvious kind of first choice for me when I was initially doing this list was the new flashing Wandering Emperor card, 5 mana. It's called like the Wandering Rescuer or something like that. Like it just, I don't understand the play pattern. Maybe it'll become apparent once the meta gets a little bit more solved and we're into like week 1, week 2 of Duskmorn standard. But for now, I just can't see where I would want to put this like 5 mana thing that gives my creatures hexproof when they're tapped. There's a lot of this like survivor stuff, right? So obviously anything with convoke something in, but it having flash, generally flash means you want to do this during the opponent's turn to, you know, cheat on mana or, you know, prevent a combat trick or something like that. But then like that doesn't work with the survival mechanic, which needs the things to be untapped during the end of your second main phase or whatever it is. So I don't know, I just felt it to be a little bit meh. So instead I went for the, because as far as mythics are concerned, and in terms of single color cards, we're going to have 3 mythics. There's one Overlord, there is a Room, and one other card. And so, you know, probably the top mythic pick for the next of these colors and all the videos I'm about to make is going to be either a Room or a or one of these Overlords. And in as far as the white is concerned, I most certainly went for the Room. And it's called the Dollmaker's Shop, and then it's got a very expensive other side called the Porcelain Gallery. And I just think, and I'll get to this point within this video, because the common that I'm about to show you, like these 2-drops, you know, it's a 2-drop Room, right? And then it unlocks when it enters the battlefield. So you're going to immediately, you know, unlock it the minute it enters, right? And it says that whenever one or more non-toy creatures you control attacks a player, create a 1/1 white toy artifact creature token. So like really strange, but what's important is, I mean, it's abundantly obvious. This is the weird new enchantment type for the set. In this case, they're these rooms, but they're still enchantments. So they're going to trigger all of your eerie stuff, your constellation in all the formats, anything that wants you to have enchantments entering the battlefield, or if you need to bargain an enchantment, you know what I mean? They're enchantments. They count as enchantments. So, I quite like this on turn 2 when you've played a turn 1 thing that triggers when you play an enchantment, and we'll get to that like I promised in this video. The thing that gets me though is the artifact creature token. Why artifact creature token? Why not an enchantment? That would have been banana town because of this card I'm about to show you. So this is my pick for mythic in white, but again, like I said, like the Overlord was just a little bit slow and doing some weird things. I don't know, didn't really like because it's got that impending, and it was impending 4, so you can play it on 4, but then it only like flips front way up on turn whatever. Like it's just a little bit too slow. This one was a bit weird, the fact that it's got the artifact instead of making an enchantment. There was that card that we've now lost called Michiko's Reign of Truth. Then that would have been insane, right? Because it counts how many artifacts and or enchantments you have in play. However, it does sort of feed its own back end, and there's lots of cards. One of them is going to be the card that we're going to see next, which unlock doors without having to pay the full 6 mana, and the flexibility of then, you know, top decking this in the late game and just playing the expensive side is also totally a thing. So these rooms are gonna, I think, actually make for a very, very interesting and different sort of play patterns that we've been used to. So really, really looking forward to playing with the rooms, but just this particular one, However, creatures you control have base power and toughness each equal to the number of creatures you control. Obviously works really well with the front side of this thing. So if you can have non-toys attacking for a few turns, and then at some point play the card that unlocks your rooms without paying the full 6 mana, now that's a humongous power and toughness boost that you get potentially included in some other synergistic effects. So I think just keep your eyes out on this one. It might actually be a little better than I initially thought. And I think that will make a lot more sense once we see the next card, which is my pick for best rare in white of the set, Ghostly Dancers. This might not be in anyone else's, like very high up on anyone else's list, but honestly, you know, because the first thing you do is you look at the price, you look at the stat line. 5 mana for a 2/5 flying? Wow, that's expensive. Why would I play that? But continue reading, and now it starts to make sense. When it enters, you return an enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand, or unlock a locked door of a room you control. Right? So now, if you've played the previous room on turn 2, and then you do some attacking, play out some other little things that you go wide, whatever, and then you cast this on turn 5, now you unlock the room a turn earlier than you could if you just, you know, curved out normally. And now suddenly you're getting a... wow, like, think about it, okay? Not only Eerie, right? So Eerie is whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield or you unlock a room. So this will enter the battlefield, unlock that room, so it'll trigger your Eerie, which means you'll get a 3/1 white spirit creature token with flying as well. So actually what you're really getting here is 5 mana for a 5/6, you know, a total of, you add the stats of the two things that it creates, and you get an unlock room. And that's just a line I just pulled out of my butt right now. Like, you can imagine this being insane. And so there's some really expensive to unlock doors in these room cards. And this doing that for you, plus all these other extra benefits, and you still get like a very good blocker with flying in the out of the deal. I think this might actually be really, really, really busto. I can't wait to try this rooms deck, because, you know, there's going to be rooms decks in every colors, but this might be like one of the first things I try during early access, because, yeah. 2 bodies, all in the air, unlock one of your rooms. By the time you've cast it, you've swung a few times and made a bunch of those little 1/1 toys. Now suddenly, boom, everything just gets massive, which includes your dancers, right? So... something to think about here. I really, really think this is a bit of a sleeper. It's not, no one's really talking about it, but very, very hyped to jam this one. Next up, as far as my favorite card in Uncommon, I actually ended up going with 2 cards. I'm a little bit cheating on this one because they were both really, really good. So the first one is the one I mentioned earlier in the video, where you have this payoff that's nice and cheap. You kind of need one of these cards whenever you have like a set mechanic You want something that you can put on the board straight away, that you can start to do the things with the new mechanic. And this just fits perfectly, right? It's a 1-mana 1/1 human scout. Woo, nothing crazy. But it's got Eerie, which is, as I said, whenever an enchantment you control enters the battlefield, or if you fully unlock a room, then you get to put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature. So you play this on turn 1, you follow it up with that room on turn 2, you swing with this guy. It's not a toy, so you make a little toy thing. Now it's a 2/2. The next turn, you know, I really think this is going to be quite freaking nice. And if that deck is to be any good, some kind of it'll probably end up being Selesnya, it'll probably end up being, I don't know, or just mono white, but something that can quickly grow and needs to be answered to play on turn 1 in a deck that's gonna be rewarding you for playing enchantments and unlocking rooms. Optimistic Scavenger, top of the list as far as uncommons, as far as I'm concerned, for the white in the set, but with a honorable mention, the Ethereal Armor, which is a reprint. Again, goes right into the same exact deck, right? Enchant creature, gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control, and has first strike. Like this, like, wow, right? I can imagine like playing the previous card I just showed you. Next turn you play another one of those. If you have 2 in your opening hand, oh my god, are you going to be so happy? And then you in Ethereal Armor the first one. Then on turn 3 you can slam down that room. You know, so try to... The only issue I have with a lot of this stuff is Temporary Lockdown is still in the format. And like I've seen a lot of people like getting really hyped up about these Auras decks. I think Temporary Lockdown is just going to be even better than it already is right now. Because there's a lot of this cheap costed little permanence, and they're all just going to get bye-bye. However, we have enchantment hate. I think it's just going to become even more important to have main deck, especially in best of 1, ways to deal with the lockdown, because it's a problematic card for all of these little decks that I've been seeing so far. So that's it as far as uncommons, which brings us to the final pick of this video, the top of my list as far as commons in white for the Duskmourn set, and my choice was the Grand Entryway, and this is actually the better version of the thing I just showed you. Like, now we're talking, right? When you unlock this door, you create a 1/1 white Glimmer enchantment creature token. Why, oh why, didn't they make the mythic freaking broom do that? How much better would that have been? Because the Eerie will trigger twice when you play this, right? You play your 1-drop, then you play this thing, it enters, it triggers the Eerie, and then it makes another enchantment and triggers Eerie again. You get, for 2 mana at common, you're going to be getting yourself 2 freaking... They'll probably end up both going in the deck, right? You're going to be getting 2 more +1/+1 counters on your 1-drop off of your 2-drop, and putting another body on the board. Phenomenal. Can't wait. Like, oh my god. And then the back end, the Elegant Rotunda. For 3 mana, when you unlock this door, you put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Like, how is this thing common? I think this is freaking insane. Like, I had a good look. I've been spending a lot of time since I'm on break. I haven't been putting up content. I've been poring over the new set, preparing myself for early access. I think this card is bursto. I can't wait to prove it to you guys. Turn 1, the 1-drop guy we just saw. Turn 2, this guy. Your 1-drop becomes a 3/3. Turn 3, unlock. Boop, boop. Like, what? Are you kidding me, man? And like flickering this thing. There's just so many. Of course, there's I've seen like an artifact that locks and relocks and unlocks and relocks rooms. At a risk of sounding like a stuck record, I think this like these room cards are going to really add a sweet new dimension to the format that I cannot wait to play with and tinker with and experiment with. It's really making all of my brewing juices aflow. But yeah, that is going to be it as far as white is concerned. So if we follow the Wooburg acronym, the next color we'll be seeing is blue. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And this is Lone Fox from the BrewLab, signing out. Peace, y'all.